Hello there everyone and welcome to episode 7 of my team career mode as we prepare for the Monaco Grand Prix. A quick look back at the last episode over in Spain, and yeah, that happened. Whoops. And Guanyu Zhou hitting us. Unfortunately, not the cleanest of races, but we did end up in P17, which, look, overall wasn't absolutely horrible. And heading into this weekend, bit more downforce hopefully on the rear, and fortunately we'll be clear skies as we have a look at that performance comparison. We are slowly starting to catch up, still continuing to try and build upon this year's car. Our power unit component management has actually been pretty decent so far, but there might be opportunities for us later on in the season if needed to just take penalties and try to, I guess, manage that power unit system as best as we possibly can. But here's really the big storyline for the rest of the season. We need to finish in 8th or higher for our $6+ million bonus from our primary sponsor. So we need to try and find that 14-point gap back to the likes of Alfa Romeo or even AlphaTauri, 17-point gap over the course of the rest of the season. So we really need to continue to develop as hard and as quickly as we possibly can. AlphaTauri probably the closest in reach from a performance point of view. So that's our main goal now. We really need to find some upgrades as quickly as possible. So obviously that storyline will continue to develop. In Monaco, a track where we might be able to find some pace. Obviously, you don't need a very good engine on this particular track, but you do need a solid chassis, a lot of good downforce. Both of those areas for us, admittedly, pretty weak at the moment, unfortunately. So who knows? We might be able to pull off a miracle, but I think maybe heading in, my expectations were a little bit too high on this particular track as we go out for our first practice run. And whoops, had a bit of a wheel malfunction, so we'll get that tidied up. And heading through the practice programs now where unfortunately, our pace was honestly pretty crap. So you can see here in the ERS management, not only is our management of ERS bad, but we're also about a second down on the Delta. So yeah, not really ideal there. Race strategy as well, about half a second to a second down once more. So unfortunately, things not looking amazing for us. And it was really through a lot of these low speed portions of the track where we just had nothing. Even cutting the chicane there, we're still down. Head to the swimming pool section where you need a lot of that downforce. It was just super scary. We didn't have the pace that we needed. Even clattering the curb, not enough to find back the time required. And this last particular section as well, heading onto the start-finish line, was really, really tough to find time. So unfortunately, not filling us with much hope for the rest of the weekend, and we're unfortunately going to have to, I guess, quick practice a lot of these programs, which is going to lead to more power unit wear, which unfortunately is not ideal. And in practice 3 shows that, yeah, we're a little bit off with the pace. Don't want to be too doom and gloom though, as we head into qualifying and we get a puncture straight off the bat. So unfortunately, nothing really going our way so far. We'll have to pit again, and that's one set of soft tires gone. As we move now on to our first flying lap. Stroll getting in the way a little bit there, having to ride the hump there, but we'll continue to push forward as we try our best to find pace in a lot of these slow speed sections through the hairpin on the lead up to the tunnel, and that lap will end up being a 1:13.8, about a second off the pace and good enough for 6th place. Later on in the session though, that sees us demoted into P17, and we're going to just try and get through as many sets of tires as we possibly can, exiting the tunnel here on this second run, close to 7/10 up. So far it's been a big improvement on this lap, and it's all about just carrying across this momentum. But we smacked the wall entering the swimming pool section of the lap, and that's going to cost us so much time and a little bit of turn in here, particularly through the last sector, losing about half a second, unfortunately, on a lap that really did look quite promising. And overall, it'll only be about a 1/10.5 to 2/10 improvement. Good enough for P16, but that's not inside of the cutoff. And I'm assuming we'll probably try and make another run here to try and improve. Just continue to burn through these sets of tires. Haven't got much to lose. Track position, everything on this circuit. So we need to try and find improvement, but that happened.
Are you okay?
And it seemed to be a bit of a common bug, I think, on this track where AI just gets stuck. And unfortunately, when you're under the AI control, when you go for a flying lap, there's just nothing you can do to avoid it. Can't flash back. We can't do anything at all. It's completely outside of our control. So I knew I could improve, and I knew that that was just a complete bog. So instead, I decided to actually restart the session here and see if we could improve once more in Q1. It happens again, though. I think, fortunately, though, we do get away with no damage on this occasion, so we'll continue on. Only 40 seconds left in the session. We are P19. So we're going to have to find a big improvement, but I know that we can do it. We just need a clean run here. Again, hoping that we didn't get any front wing damage there. I don't think I did.
And that's just 30 seconds left in the session.
And this will be our one and only run. A little bit aggressive there on turn 1, but we do find 2/10, so a nice improvement there as we fly past the casino. Not great, but we do find it back here, running down the hill. This is where the car feels absolutely awful. We clattered the barricade on the inside, which fires us outside. But we have to commit to this lap, getting so close to the barrier on the outside of the hairpin there. Our turn in just absolutely awful. This section did not feel nice at all. Very, very tough, especially with the handling model on this year's game. The traction out of these corners was just as bad as the turn in. So all around, very, very challenging as we fire it down to the chicane. Just tapping the sausage on the inside. A pretty good line through there, so I can't complain too much. Now flicking it in to the left-hander through the swimming pool section, half a second up. So big improvements once more, and it's just about connecting this lap together. A little bit slow through the chicane as we enter, I believe it's Raskas. I could be getting my quarter names wrong here, but on to the start-finish straight now. Half a second up. It will be about a 6/10 improvement. So overall, a pretty clean lap. We'll see where that lands us. And it's only good enough for P17. The boat, just not fast enough around this track. As we look at the results, and due to the AI being a little bit special on this track, it's actually going to be a little bit mixed. Just across the board, some unexpected results. Perez P15, Russell 16, Verstappen 18. So this could be a pretty crazy race.
Formula One returns to Monte Carlo once again today, home to the world-famous Monte Carlo Casino that first opened in 1863. And of course, a certain road race first held in 1929. And there's no greater an occasion, no more valuable a win than the Monaco Grand Prix. The prestigious Circuit de Monaco, then, is not all that dissimilar today to the layout that made its debut almost a century ago. It's 2 miles and 19 corners through the streets of Monte Carlo. And although the average lap speed of around 93 miles per hour is the lowest of the season, the tiny margins for error make it the natural habitat of the safety car.
Okay, so everything looks good on the power.
Straight into the formation lap then, we'll be doing a one-stop strategy. The medium compound on to the hards. Starting in P16, of course. And we'll be looking to just pull off a miracle here to score points, but my hope's not very high. We don't really have great mechanical grip, and overtaking on Monaco at the best of times is incredibly difficult as we do a few burnouts here. Get some heat into the rears. Unfortunately, our front's probably not quite at the temperature we would have liked, but probably will be okay. Unfortunately, we overshoot though.
Okay, not the best
Onto the
place
grid,
there, mate.
not
Let's try
ideal,
again
and that's
with
going
launch
to
as the race starts.
put us back by about a meter or two. Just extending our run down to the first corner. No heroics, as a wise man once said, but I think we're going to need to do something pretty heroic here to find some track position as the lights go out. An okay launch, decent traction as well, but it's just enough to maintain position, which isn't too bad. Getting sandwiched between two Red Bulls, which I didn't think would be the case, but unfortunately their season so far has actually been pretty disappointing, and that gap to the Ferrari is probably going to extend once more after this round. But our focus now on us. It's been a decent run here. Lots of traction though, running down the hill, and we get clattered from behind. Verstappen actually going sideways. We put it down to first gear so we can flick out with a little escape road and continue on in P17. The virtual safety car deployed, I'm assuming in response to the amount of debris that's being laid on the track. And we'll have a look back, a replay of the start. Again, pretty clean off the line. Good run through the first corner. Not making any contact, not really losing much ground at all. Did lose a bit of traction, but such is Monaco, very difficult to overtake on that straight, if you even want to call it a straight. And this is where things begin to unravel a little bit. Our traction, not amazing. And then, yeah, we brake at the normal braking point, maybe a little bit cautious, but we just get absolutely clattered from behind. And Verstappen has completely ruined his race, and probably ours as well. We've sustained quite a bit of damage from that. Onboard replay shows that he's completely misjudged the move down the inside and made contact with our rear right. And it didn't stop there. Lando Norris as well behind in the McLaren, doing basically the exact same there on the Williams. His race over before it begins as well. So we'll have 20 runners left in this Grand Prix. And at this point, honestly, I need to do something pretty radical here, I think, to try and get into the points. So I decide pretty much at the last minute here that we're going to dive into the pits and go straight onto the hard tyre compound. Just get that compulsory change out of the way and see if maybe we can hold on to some track position later on in this race. Because, yes, we're not ultra fast, but if we are ahead, it's going to be pretty difficult, I think, for the AI to overtake us. So we're going to take a bit of a gamble here. It is essentially a free pit stop under the virtual safety car anyway. And as we exit pit lane, that virtual safety car will come to an end. Knocks us down to P17. Russell and Perez had to repair damage from that incident earlier. They like to go actually onto the soft tyre compound. So they're going to be very, very racy. And I don't expect us to be able to hold them back for too much longer. And you can just see, I mean, we're struggling for traction. Entering the tunnel, Russell, very, very brave down the inside. A clean overtake though, so well done to him. And we run over that sausage curb and here's some floor damage. So adding on to the damage we previously had, I believe, and that's going to make the overall car feel even worse. Elsewhere, Latifi, the GOAT, getting the fastest lap. Something I didn't think I'd see. So congratulations to him. Don't know how long he'll be able to hold on to it too, but a solid effort. And Russell already 2 seconds ahead. So absolutely flying. Perez now behind. A clean move around the outside heading into T1. And his drive out of the corner, just absolutely ridiculous. Already extending that gap. And I guess we just have to hope that by some miracle we can get some track position somewhere, but unfortunately my outlook not great at the moment. On to lap 6. Albon behind on softs, gaining pretty rapidly as well. And the gap ahead already out to 8 seconds to Perez. Insane. Albon makes contact running up the straight. Pretty eager to get ahead of us. Swipes our side pod there, and I can only assume has inflicted a bit of front wing damage onto himself. Probably should have done the move somewhere a little bit safer, and he'll be regretting that one. And we'll just look to maintain position now. You can see our grip through the low speed is absolutely tragic. Really not ideal. And we might be vulnerable once more heading into the chicane, looking to just get a clean run through the tunnel. Not using any battery, just backing ourselves in to maintain this position and hoping that Albon does actually have a little bit of damage, which will slow him down. Probably is the case, as he has dropped back significantly now. As we run it through the swimming pool section, just trying to be clean and consistent. And that's often the motto here on Monaco. Especially in the race, you don't need to be ultra rapid, but you do need to be very clean and consistent. Albon dives into the pits. And we'll be able to maintain position 19. Moving on to lap 10 now. The gap to Perez, 19 seconds, and Albon holding steady behind, 19 seconds as well. So we're basically in the middle of nowhere right now, just lapping around And hoping that in the latter phases of this race, we will come online a little bit based on the pace of the cars ahead. I'm starting to lose hope quite a bit. I mean, even Perez and Russell up ahead, even if they pit right now, it's going to be pretty borderline as to whether or not they actually maintain that track position or not. But we just have to keep our head down here and stay concentrated. The moment you lose concentration around Monte Carlo is the moment you pin it in the wall. So we do just want to keep it nice and steady here. Try and keep those lap times as consistent as we possibly can. But on lap 13, faster cars are already approaching. So the front runners, the two Ferraris, so quick, so ridiculously quick, already catching us well before the halfway point in this Grand Prix. We'll let them go. No point in us fighting them whatsoever. We just want to get out of the way and let them run their race as we understeer into the first corner. We lose part of our front wing. We've got an orange floor. And yeah, this has just been an absolute disaster, this race. And I don't think really at this point there's much point in continuing. We know that our strategy has completely failed. We're a lap down. We've got a lot of damage. And it's probably best we just save our power unit at this point. So we're just going to pull off to the side. We are going to retire from the race, which is mightily disappointing.
Charles Leclerc, currently leading the championship standings, extends his lead even further with this result. So then, it's time to see how this result affects the Drivers' Championship. So, Anthony Davidson, who would you rank as your driver of the day?
There's a few contenders, but George Russell definitely stood out, I think. A really solid drive from him today, and one I'm sure the fans enjoyed.
It's time to check out the Constructors' standings. Ferrari continue to extend the gap at the top of the table. Meanwhile, good work from Aston Martin this weekend, who pushed themselves further up the order. After an event like that, who knows what the sport has in store for us next time out? Be sure to join us once again as we continue to bring you all the excitement of Formula One.